I don't know. Could you get warmed up to Dylan Gabriel? RamView. Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the February 12th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair, having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at Temple City Auto Repair.com. Okay, so everyone's still picking up the pieces from the Super Bowl. We got mock drafts rolling in. We got Stafford talk, laments over Cooper Kupp going his own way, talks about Alaric Jackson, then, of course, all the stuff, the hires and fires around the NFL. But here's the one thing that I find really interesting is everybody is tearing down Patrick Mahomes. Have you known? Have you noticed the way Patrick Mahomes getting talked down now? It's like you think he's the worst quarterback in the league since Ryan Leaf, the way they're talking about him. Even Callan Coward, who was very talented, but has kind of gotten kind of scuzzy on this by the way they just said, oh, Mahomes never had a good Super Bowl game. The guy's won 3 Super Bowls, brought his team back in these Super Bowls. It's like, what are you talking about, bro? But my question is, why is no one holding Andy Reid accountable? It's like almost like, I know we all love Andy Reid, great coach, absolutely. But why is no one holding Andy Reid accountable? The KBM, the Kiss Butt Media, is chewing up and spitting out Patrick Mahomes. It's so funny seeing them defend Tom Brady and completely burying Patrick Mahomes, but no one is saying a word about Andy Reid. I believe one person, I don't know where it was at, I heard a live flesh and blood person said Reid looked like a deer in the headlights on Super Bowl. There wasn't one adjustment. I was sitting there next to Mid-Valley sports photographer Dwayne Barker, and he's saying it's like, do you think it's over? No, I don't think it's over. He won with 17-0. I think Reid's going to make an adjustment. Reid, they're going to make an adjustment. And what they did is they didn't make any adjustments, right? They kept trying to wait for the routes to progress instead of going short routes, timing, tempo, getting the ball out of Mahomes' hands. And why doesn't anyone hold Reid accountable? Now, if you want to blame Mahomes for something, if you want to blame Mahomes for anything, blame him for not changing the plays on his own. Blame him for maybe not going back and say, yo, Reid, this sucks. It's not working today. We need to make an adjustment. But until then, I guess, man, maybe the Chiefs should start looking for a quarterback according to the KBM. Get over yourselves. It's pretty bad. I marvel. Give the Eagles credit. They came out, they played a game, and they made a chess move, and Reid didn't make a chess move. Reid was playing checkers. Vic Fangio was playing chess. Anyway, we'll go on, but it's just so funny seeing what's going on across the media. Stafford stuff, you can't leave it alone. I'm going to throw it this way. If Stafford leaves over money, it's not because the Rams are cheap, okay? It's not because the Rams are cheap. If Stafford leaves the Rams over money, it's because Stafford's really not interested in the Super Bowl, and the Rams Super Bowl window will be closed, right? They go from a definite Super Bowl contender with Stafford to being on the outside looking in without Stafford. Jimmy G, if he sticks around, Jimmy G can maybe get you there, but a lot of things will have to go right. Stafford covers a lot of flaws. He does make the offensive line better than it maybe actually is. It's a good offensive line. But yeah, that's going to be a real bummer. And I can see a little question here popping up from Mr. Burns. Kelly Stafford is talking riddles again. Wives have a way of getting the word out. Yeah, Kelly Stafford's not helping her husband. She's just not. Okay, speaking of offensive line, the real wild card on this Ram offensive line before we get to Alaric Jackson is Jonah Jackson. Jonah Jackson's a wild card in terms of should he stay or should he go, right? My preference is, and I think the Rams should think about it, is see if he can beat out Limmer, right? The Rams are not in salary cap hell. Jackson's contract is still baked into this year. They're not in salary cap hell. They're going to get some minor relief here and there with the cup situation. It's not going to be a whole lot, but they're going to get some. Keep Jonah Jackson. See if he can beat Limmer. Really, the hope is that he can beat Limmer. Limmer gets another year after playing this year, maybe learning stuff on the fly. I just got this feeling, and I don't want to blame Limmer for anything. I think the Rams got great clicks out of Limmer, but my fear is, how do we know this isn't his ceiling? How do we know he's just not Coleman Shelton in another jersey number, right? And I like Coleman Shelton. They're good. But the idea is Jonah Jackson should be better. He should be. If he gets hurt again, all right. And you get a better salary cap break in 2026 if you cut him loose after 2025. I just want to see the Rams keep him around for some depth. I really do hope, the last rumor I saw that was pretty gross was Keenan Allen. Note to McSneed, stay away from Keenan Allen. Great Charger, great career, but come on, the dude's father time. Let's just let it ride. Don't get rid of Cooper Kupp and bring in Keenan Allen. All right. Now, Allen may be more productive than Kupp, but you'd never know it if he's not on the field. So, let's move on from there. All right. I've been getting some clicks here. I was invited. I'm not going to say I was invited. I was told I could attend John Robinson's memorial service today out in Irvine. It was held. Former Ram head coach John Robinson. And there was a great turnout. The SC band was there. Traveler was there. I got some pictures and stuff. My brother was there. But, Vince Ferragamo, Eric Dickerson, Doug Smith, George Andrews, some of the former Rams that were there in attendance, as long as other players from USC, Paul McDonald, Keyshawn Johnson, Anthony Munoz, Brad Budd, Rodney Peete. It was really kind of cool to see the turnout there. Everyone looked like they had a blessed time, and they remembered their former coach. So that was a good one. All right, getting back to current present-day stuff here. I got stuff coming in. Alaric Jackson. So someone brought it up on the board here about Alaric Jackson and possibly franchise tagging him. Rams haven't franchise tagged anybody since, I believe, LaMarcus Joyner in 2018. I think they did Trumaine Johnson in 2017, and they did LaMarcus Joyner in 2018, but they haven't tagged anybody since then. Right now, the last market value I saw for Alaric Jackson is 4 years, 16 rocks per year, which sounds really cheap when you consider Trenton Williams next year is going to make 27.5, Christian Darrisaw 26, Laramie Tunsil from the Texans 25, Andrew Thomas from the Giants 23.5, Jordan Mailata 22 from the Eagles, Garrett Bowles 20.5 for Denver, and Deion Dawkins and Taylor Decker, Bills and Lions respectively, are making 20 rocks next year. So if you got Alaric Jackson for something less than 20 rocks a year, that's a deal. And the market value is listing him at 16, and 16 would be dirt cheap for a starting left tackle. And so someone said franchise tag. I wish one of you folks, I can remember which one of you folks shared that. So I looked it up. What would the franchise tag cost for Alaric Jackson in 2025? 1 year franchise tag, 23 to 25 rocks to franchise tag. It would be more equitable if you believe he's the guy to sign him for 3 for 20, 4 for 80, if you can, and get him locked up. I think he is the guy that can get you to the Super Bowl. On the other hand, if for some reason Kelly Stafford talks her husband out of Los Angeles, then I don't know. You still want him signed, but I don't know how important it's going to be because you're out of the Super Bowl window without Matthew Stafford. You just are. right? You're Stafford, you're a great team that has its shot. Without Stafford, you're a good organization that may have some good things happen, right? Without Stafford, you're a team that, hey, we made it to the divisional round. Hey, maybe we lost in the conference finals and we're happy. With Stafford, by next year, we would be really upset if we lost in the conference finals, right? That's where the Rams are trending the next 2 years. And if Stafford goes, how much do you pay Alaric Jackson? Do you draft a tackle and build for the future? That's, again, something to think about. A couple of wild cards there. All right, let's look at some of the questions here. I'll just introduce myself. Joe Terosian, as a sports writer for 21 years. Now I do RamView. Thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law and in Temple City Auto. Kistler Law has been fantastic to us. We are blessed to have them as a sponsor. Also, I write books. My books are on Amazon. I've written 8 novels, 8 novels, 1 devotional. This is how I support myself. In my day job, I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene, and you can find us right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual. Of course, BurbankFaithVirtual.com and Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. My latest book is Game Day in the RamCave, fictional NFC title game between the Rams and the Packers. And so you can check that out. It's done pretty good. I appreciate your support because we don't have a Patreon account or a paywall. So let's look at some of the questions here that popped in real quick from Mr. Burns. Ugh, ESPN and Ryan Clark shoving black quarterback this and talking that point. They're both black quarterbacks, so what is the point? Yes, I saw that where they said, they had this post that said, Jalen Hurts is the 4th black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Isn't that narrative dead? You'd think it's dead. A black quarterback has won the Super Bowl the last 3 years. I think it's dead. But again, when you're ESPN and the KBM, when you've got no substance, you have to search for flash. And we keep seeing it more and more. As we watch the networks politically just die in front of our eyes, as we watch the celebrities flock to the Super Bowl so somebody can appease their vanity because no one's watching their movies outside of Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible, we also see with ESPN, there's no substance anymore. There's just no substance to anything they provide. And I think they're going to hurt. I think they're going to regret losing. I think Orlovsky's leaving. Yeah, I saw that. I almost made a comment from my hotel room, but it's, what are you going to do, right? Going to make that comment about the black.
That is incredibly jejune.
Yes, it's time to move on. It's time to move on from ESPN. Tim Burns again. Ooh, Luka, LeBron, and Bronny equals 2.5 men. Yeah. I wouldn't put a move on Bronny there, man. Poor Bronny. Steve Ramirez. I was lucky enough to meet John Robinson, speak to him once at a Pasadena Quarterbacks Club luncheon. A very nice man. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I never met him, but I know the vibe and everything I got back from people who had met him. He was one good dude. That's what I heard. I heard he was a really, really good dude. I kind of liked him because I was a USC fan with McKay. And I remember when they lost Robinson's opener in 76, they lost to Missouri. Man, you would have thought, I guess it was a tough time in the Southland that year because Gene Bartow had replaced John Wooden. And of course, Robinson replaced McKay. And you would have thought it was the end of the world, right? You would have thought it was the end of the world. Instead, takes USC all the way to the Rose Bowl. They beat Michigan. Salvages Vince Evans when everyone was ready to give up on Vince Evans in 75. Robinson sticks with him, runs Ricky Bell, develops Charles White. Yeah, I can go on forever. I did really like John Robinson. And I thought it was a great hire by the Rams in 83 because it was an organization without credibility. And Robinson getting there in 83, going 9-7, making the playoffs, winning in Dallas, really set the tempo. And so in that sense, the Rams were stable. With Malavasi after 1979, you know what you're going to get with the dude. He fell asleep on the phone with Robert W. Morgan. But with Robinson, you felt you had a guy that really knew his business. I just don't think you wanted him in the draft room, right? And the trade room a little bit, but he knew how to run a football team. So good for him. That's good news, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Let's see. Tim Burns, I saw a varying set of draft picks 26, 90, 100, 124, and 26. Or is that correct? Right now, the Rams have number 26, 90, and 100. And I think it's 126. And then I think it's 192 and 203. That's what I got right now. Not for sure what else it was, but I'll double check that. Some sites have different. Ron Reese, hi Joe. I was in Las Vegas at South Point watching the Super Bowl. I was hoping to meet you. I have questions. Can the Rams please ask Aaron Donald to come back for one more year? Huh? Ron, I'm sorry I missed you. Yeah, I was the guy walking around in a Hawaiian shirt with the gray hair. Yeah. Were you in the big room, Ron, or were you in the Super Bowl package room, the smaller one? My friends put me in the smaller one, and we were sitting in the back there. So, it wasn't a bad experience. I usually hate those events. I don't like those things. And I told my friends, even though I agreed to go, I told my friends if the Rams were playing, I probably wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't watch the Rams play that way. I'm kind of just not good to be around sometimes. But hopefully I'll connect with you down the road. Let's see. Bill retracts. Bill comes back in. All right, Bill. If Matthew Stafford was traded because of his wife, Kelly Stafford, would she be hated like Georgia Frontiere? That's a great question, Bill. Isn't that a great question? I'd love to hear everyone's response there. Steve, Tim, Ron, Bill. That's a great question. I definitely think Kelly Stafford, if she talks her husband out of L.A., whoa, huh? Whoa. That would be – I think she'd go just below Meghan Markle, right? I don't know. That's that's interesting. Bill, Kelly doesn't have a boat, and all she does though, she has a podcast, right? Let's see. Ron Reese, I was in the smaller room on the first floor. I went up escalators, and then I went straight ahead into a small room. I didn't know there was a third room. I thought there was only two. Anyway. Thanks, Ron, for chiming in there. Tim Burns. Robinson was the first coach that I even noticed as a kid and the first I had loyalty for. Oh, all right. San Diego State guy rooting for a Trojan. Good for you. Yeah, Ron, tell me more about where you're at. I would have loved to have maybe we did cross paths. Did you see all those Ram guys talking in the lobby, everyone wearing Ram jerseys? I saw a guy wearing a Capoletti jersey. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, a guy wearing a Capoletti jersey at the Super Bowl. That was pretty cool. Around the NFL and other places, back to the Super Bowl, I like Jalen Hurts, and this goes back to Patrick Mahomes, but he's not Patrick Mahomes, okay? Did you see Jalen Hurts against the Rams, right? He's a bit mechanical and is blessed with the best offensive line in football, right? He was sacked 7 times by the Rams. He holds on to the ball quite a bit. Now, did he play out of his mind on Sunday? He did. He's a good quarterback. He's a really good quarterback. He's good enough to win a Super Bowl with, right? But is he better than Patrick Mahomes as a thrower? I'm sorry, I'm just not going to go there. I'm just not going to go there. I see him as a bit mechanical, and you can get to him. Sorry, the Chiefs couldn't do it, but the Rams didn't have a problem doing it. There we go. I think we should slow our roll on putting Hurts in the top 5. And stop trying to remove Mahomes from GOAT talk. It's the only time, again, I've seen anybody be pro Brady, but the KBM has been pro Brady this week, man, because for some reason they wanted to tamp Mahomes down. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of Trump support, but tacitly, I guess Brady's a Trump supporter, so I can't figure out why they want to tear Mahomes down. Even Colin Cowherd was kind of greasy, backtracking off Mahomes. It was incredibly cringe hearing him talk. And he talks about Super Bowl 55, how bad Mahomes played. Do you remember that game against the Buccaneers? The Chiefs' offensive line was a mash unit going into the game. Everybody knew that. And then there was this whole riff about the Chiefs, needing a new running back and Isaiah Pacheco's okay. 3 months ago, we were talking about how the Chiefs won 2 Super Bowls with Isaiah Pacheco at running back and how they had found a great running back in the 7th round and were winning Super Bowls. Now, after one loss, now not even Pacheco is good enough. Note to Cowherd and the rest of the KBM, they didn't give the ball to Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. They didn't look for them out of the backfield. They kept trying to go linear a la Al Davis, and they didn't have the time to do it. And Andy Reid never adjusted. back to Hurts. Speaking of Hurts, you got to talk about Philadelphia GM Howie Roseman. He's overseen 3 Super Bowl appearances and 2 wins. Before he had to, he smartly extended Hurts' contract. Hurts was a 13.5 cap hit this year. Next year, he's 21.8. The year after that, he's 31.9. And in 2027, he's 36.1. Odds are someplace soon, somewhere in there, very soon, there's going to be a renegotiation. But Philly's in great shape. Now, they got free agents. Do they want to commit to Mekhi Becton, who they salvaged this guy's career? He's not a tackle. He's a guard. And he had an outstanding season. The Super Bowl was Josh Sweat saying, give me some money. Out of nowhere, Zach Braun became a star. And then they got Milton Williams. Do you know who Milton Williams is? Milton Williams is the DT that Bo Limmer looked at on his left when that guy went right. Right? Who was the guy? Jalen Carter went right by him. So, they've got a few contracts to take care of. Brandon Graham is a free agent, but Brandon Graham's not going anywhere unless he retires. So Philly's in great shape, and congratulate them on getting Hurts under contract early. Saints hired Kellen Moore. What are your overs and unders? I don't dislike Kellen Moore, but the Saints are a mess. A lot of cap issues. I say, is he gone after second year, or does he make it through year 3? That'd be an interesting thing. Some weird news off to the side here. I wanted to get this one out. Green Bay Packer quarterback Jordan Love is getting married this spring and is having an In-N-Out truck at his wedding. That's down to earth, man. That is down to earth. You know what he should do? He should find a way to get an In-N-Out truck up there to Green Bay, show those cheeseheads what a burger should really taste like. Something also I did not know. I looked this up this week when I found out. When the Packers came to RFK in 72 for their playoff game against the Redskins, and the Redskins beat them 16-3. This was during the George Allen run to the Super Bowl. President Nixon, living in D.C., was infuriated because the NFL blacked out that game, Washington's first home playoff game in like 1,000 years. And he called Pete Rozelle about working out a deal for postseason home games to be shown in the local markets. Rozelle refused, and Nixon began to pressure in Congress about having local games shown on TV. Now, I don't know if he had a direct influence on that, but when you got a president who's saying, why is this blacked out? And I vote for that guy. NFL dates, Rams got until March 4th, actually. They got about 2 weeks from February 18th to March 4th to franchise tag Alaric Jackson if they want to. Combines at the end of this month. New league year starts March 12th, and I think it's a couple of days before that you can start tampering. That's when free agency begins. Then they got league meetings end of March. That's where you start talking about trades. And then NFL draft, April 24th through the 26th. Looking forward to that. All right, let's see what we got here. Ron Reese, I'm from El Monte. Ron, I'm from El Monte High School, class of 82. Good for you. Steve Ramirez, like Marcellus says, all her LA privileges have been revoked. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kelly's in trouble here. You gone, you stay gone, right? There ain't no me and you no more. Just get out of here. We don't want to hear from you. Tim Burns, looking at Philly, they proved if you get a superior O-line, you can have an average quarterback. Great game, but great quarterback is not Hurts. Yeah, I agree. I think he's a really good quarterback. He's got all those intangibles, right? Leader, calm, works hard. He's kind of like Lamar Jackson, except he's just not explosive in the run game. But explosive in the sense that he's going to go to the house 80 yards. But great player, though. I like him. I like him a lot. But does he scare you as a Rams fan? I mean, look what the Rams did, right? He doesn't scare me as a Rams fan. Let's see. Tim Burns, I saw a mock that had Philly grabbing A.O. Manor, wide receiver. I felt a little ill. They should not be allowed to draft for a while. There you go. Mark Reber, with the Rams defense, Jimmy G definitely could take the Rams to a Super Bowl, plus Puka, of course. I think he could take you to a Super Bowl, but I think a whole lot of stuff would have to be right for that to happen. Puka couldn't get hurt, right? Your offensive line would have to stay healthy. They couldn't have any foibles where they have to rely on Jimmy G to pass you back into the game because Kyron's put the ball on the turf. Your corners are going to have to play better or as well as they did this year. There's just certain things there because a quarterback like Stafford, he always rights the wrongs, right? And I don't know if Jimmy G has the ability to overcome. He can get you there, but I think a whole lot more would have to go right. Rams would have to be a lot more perfect. My tune has changed on Jimmy G after seeing him in a Ram uniform and seeing him play. Let's see here. Steve Ramirez. When our photographer Keith Birmingham got married a few years ago, he had Dodger dogs, the Farmer John ones. Both he and his wife are Dodger fans. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Good for Keith. We were a few years apart in school together. Mark Reiber. But I don't think Stafford is going anywhere. My belief is, Mark, deep down, no, he's not. But I'm just getting a little fatigued talking about it. And honestly, again, this goes back to Stafford just saying, hey, honey, there's 900 billion things you could be talking about on your podcast. Don't talk about me. Don't talk about me because I think it just creates, what is that great? That's a great line that Coward has. Creates a lot of noise. And it's just, this is 2 years in a row. It's like it was 2021 and 2022. We kept hearing about Sean McVay, right? And after a while, it's like, bro, dude, stop playing games. Quit or just commit, right? And my feeling about Stafford is, do you really want to go to New York and get your butt kicked? It might be a little better landing in Pittsburgh, but there aren't really great places for him to go. And it's like, if you're serious about winning a title, if you're serious about dough, yeah, you can go anywhere and you're going to make your dough. And then I know what the fallback will be. The Rams are cheap. The Rams aren't cheap. This isn't Georgia Frontiere, right? The Rams aren't cheap, okay? And I just wish he would just do his business a little more silently, right? Just a little more quietly, he would do his business. But at my heart of hearts, Mark, I do believe what you said. I don't think he's going anywhere. Tim Burns, pastor watches Pulp Fiction. That's all you got to say, Burnsy. Yeah, of course. Of course I've seen Pulp Fiction. Goodness gracious. Now, I don't show it on Sunday morning, but I've seen it, right? I know what you have to ask is, what does Marcellus Wallace look like? I know that, right? I know that. So, and I don't know if they speak English in what, right? Yeah, what country is what, right? I know that. Come on, man. I'm not so out of it. There we go. Rams opponents. I had this flipped, and I think Mr. Burns brought it up a couple weeks ago. Home games for the Rams this year outside of division opponents are the Saints, Buccaneers, Texans, Colts, Lions. That could be undefeated at home. On the road, besides division opponents, Panthers, Falcons, Jaguars, Titans, Eagles, Ravens. That gets a little tougher, especially when you're looking at Titans, Eagles, Ravens. When do you play them? The Rams could be playing some snow games. When I had this inverted, it didn't look like the Rams could be playing any snow games. But after seeing the Rams play in the divisional round, and with Matthew Stafford, as from my lips to Mark Reiber's ears and to the football god's brain, if Matthew Stafford stays, snow shouldn't bother the Rams, right? Snow shouldn't bother the Rams. 13 yards and a missed extra and an extra point would have put them in the Super Bowl, right? There we go. All right, let's see what's rolling in here. Linebackers. Linebackers are interesting because the Rams spent less than $5 million on their entire linebacking core last year. 4.8 to be exact. Ernest Jones made 1.9 last season between the Titans and the Seahawks. That was the last year of his rookie contract, right? Presently, Ernest Jones' market value, because people are saying, hey, bring back Ernest Jones. One spot has his market value at 4 years, 13 rocks per year. That means 4 years, 52 mil. Really? Another one has him at 3 years, 12 rocks, which is 36, 22 of it guaranteed. Would you play between 12 to 13 rocks a year for Ernest Jones? I don't think Ernest Jones coming back. Not at that price. I just don't. Just my feeling here. Comes back for 6, maybe. So we understand. And then again, we thought the world was falling when the Rams dealt him, and the world didn't end. The world didn't end. Okay, so looking at the Rams roster right now, technically, if you count Christian Roseboom and Troy Reeder, the Rams have 6 linebackers. Roseboom and Reeder are free agents. Okay. Omar Speight, an undrafted free agent, is the prize. Jake Hummel is a restricted free agent. And then you got Elias Neal, an undrafted free agent who got playing time last year. And the Rams signed Tony Fields, a former 5th-round pick, 154 overall by the Browns out of West Virginia. Congratulations. Tony Fields is the only of those 6 guys, counting Roseboom and Reeder, the only linebacker on the Rams who was actually drafted into the NFL. They were all undrafted free agents. Roseboom made 1.4. Reeder made 985. Spates made 986,000. Elias Neal made just under 500,000, bouncing between practice squad and regular roster. And Tony Fields had something less that in the same thing, going from regular roster to practice squad between the Browns, Rams. I think he had a cup of coffee with the Cowboys. But that's the Rams linebacking room. And that's the way the Rams seem to like it, right? So I wouldn't look for what would we call a reunion with Ernest Jones, not at 13 or 12 and a half rocks a year. I just don't see it. But we'll see how it plays out. I think they'll draft another linebacker at the end. I can see Christian Roseboom coming back because I don't think the market's big for him. Roseboom and Spates were good enough. They're not great, but they were good enough to get the Rams within 13, 14 yards and a point after to the Super Bowl. And I got a feeling with a year under his belt, Omar Spates is going to be better this year. He's going to be better. He's going to stand out this year a lot more than he did last year because now he's a veteran and he kind of understands the league a little bit better. Looking at the drafts, I see some questions piled in there, guys. I promise I'll get to them. Looking at the draft right now, trying to understand these mock drafts because I look at one each day that I go on. So I've looked at about 10 mock drafts and 7 of them having the Rams taking an offensive tackle. And honestly, I feels a little lazy why everyone is going for an offensive tackle rather than a playmaker on offense. And I can only assume it's an assumption that Alaric Jackson will walk or the Rams won't sign Alaric Jackson and that's why they'll draft one. But I view that as lazy. I don't know how you feel. Do you think I think the Rams are going to keep Alaric Jackson. I definitely think if you keep Matthew Stafford, you got to keep Alaric Jackson. Do you really want in a Super Bowl window, do you really want a rookie left tackle? I've shared before. I got PTSD at left tackle for the Rams. Alex Barron, Jason Smith, Greg Montgomery, mic drop, boom, I'm done. That's all I need to say. Do you want to, even if he turns out to be Orlando Pace, which would be awesome, do you really want a left tackle rookie there guarding Stafford's blind side in what would be a contending year? I don't think so. If Stafford's back, Alaric Jackson has to stay. And that's why I always figure if the idea is most people think Stafford is going to stay, why are all these draft experts? I mean, CBS Mock Draft, Pro Football Network, Sports Illustrated, Bucky Brooks, Eric Edholm at NFL.com, Lance Zierlein, Bleacher Nation, Cynthia Freeland, The Athletic, all of them. Well, not all of them, but 7 out of 10 have them taking an offensive lineman. Josh Simmons, Josh Connerly, Donovan Jackson, Armand Membu. They got all these guys here. So I went off the grid. I went off the grid and looked for a little more nerdish type of fringe site instead of one of the major ones. I found Dynasty Nerds, and this was their mock draft from today. And they had Travis Hunter going first to the Titans. They had Cam Ward falling to second to the Browns. Shedeur Sanders going to the Giants at 3. Abdul Carter, who a lot of folks, the Penn State edge guy, have going number 1 to the Titans. They have him dropping to 4. Tatario McMillan, the wide receiver, going to Raiders at 6. Trending just like everybody else, they got Tyler Warren, number 14 to the Colts. Ashton Genty from Boise State dropping to number 20 to the Broncos. Kenneth Grant, DT, Michigan, the defensive tackle to the Steelers, not an offensive player being drafted by the Steelers. Colston Loveland, the Michigan tight end to the Chargers. That would be a good move. And it was really interesting. There's a guy that keeps popping up on some mock drafts named Gray Zabel, guard, North Dakota State, 6'5", 316. Him going just prior to the draft, I think, to the Vikings. And so just looking at this, that just kind of keeps repeating itself over and over again. Same guys, same everything, same position. I went to the NFL mock draft database. So I would encourage you. It's right there. It's free. It's one of the better mock draft bases. There's the Pro Football Network mock draft. There's the PFF mock draft. They're all free. I went to the NFL mock draft database for the first time to see what I can get. And for number 26, I had 3 offers. The Panthers offered the 74th overall and a second round 2026 pick. I dumped that. The Taxkins offered 29 overall and 79 overall, third round, and then a bunch of 6th rounders and 7th rounders. And I turned that down. I went with the Bills. The Bills offered number 30 overall and the 56th overall in the second round. And then next year, a 6th rounder, and next year, a 7th rounder. I took that because a 56th overall is pretty good. And that would give the Rams 4 picks in the first 100. And so I took that draft. And at number 30, I know I'm going to hear some stuff from you guys, but I'll just tell you who my first 4 picks were. I won't bother you with all the other picks. But I took Kenneth Grant, the defensive lineman from Michigan, who goes to about 339 and spins, run stuffer, A-gap, B-gap guy. I took him at 30. And then at 56, I was hoping to take Jackson Dart, right? And Dart moved up a little bit, and they took him at 54. I forgot who took him at 54. So I took Utah State wide receiver Jalen Royals, who's a playmaker. And then at number 90, I took Jack Beck, the TCU guy that Mr. Burns turned us on to. And because I wanted to get a quarterback and he was there, I'm curious to know, that's why I opened the show with it, how would you guys feel with Dillon Gabriel? I saw him sitting at 100, and I thought, I did it. I drafted Dillon Gabriel. So Kenneth Grant, Jalen Royals, Jack Beck, 2 wide receivers, a defensive lineman, and a quarterback maybe for the future, maybe a bridge guy. What do you guys think about that? Is that cool? Did I do all right? I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'd love to see your mock drafts. You can send them to me. I think my email appears right there in the description box, and you can check them out there. Let's see what we got here. Michael Negretti, hola, Pastor Joe. What topics have I missed? I would rather hear it live and not Memorex. Oh, man, you're going to make me go through everything. We've just been talking about Matthew Stafford. We've been talking about Patrick Mahomes being thrown under the bus by the media. Talking about Jalen Hurts being a good quarterback, not a great quarterback. And talking about, do you franchise tag Eric Jackson for 23, 25 rocks, or do you sign him? There we go. That should succinctly put it up. Bill, Rams are playing Eagles in Australia, not on the road. That game was for 2026, Bill. I think that game's for 2026, not 2025. Tim Burns, Saquon would say 500 yards rushing. Rushing says Rams need to spend a bit more at linebacker. I'm not going to listen to him, dude. I don't care. Saquon hit 2 home runs against the Rams in the playoffs. We fumbled the ball twice, right? We had a fumble that we recovered, and we didn't get a touchdown when we had to settle for a field goal. I'm not worried about Saquon. I'm not worried about Saquon. I want someone who can stuff the run, right? There we go. Tim Powers, would the Rams be interested in Nick Chubb as a backup? If the price is right? I don't want to pay him any significant amount of money. Not right now. I wouldn't. I like Nick Chubb, but I wouldn't pay him anything. I'm still in that mode. Everyone's kind of gravitating, now you got to have the great running back. I saw the Chiefs win 2 Super Bowls back-to-back with Isaiah Pacheco. I saw the Rams win a Super Bowl with Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson, right? We've seen it before, right? And, yeah, you'd love to get a back. You'd pay a great back good money. You pay Derrick Henry. I get it. You pay Saquon Barkley. But, those guys are few and far in between, and you don't need them. I think if the Super Bowl proved anything, you need an offensive line, and you should never stop tinkering with your offensive line, right? Never. There we go. Let's see here. Steve Ramirez, I love Dylan Gabriel, and not just because yeah, we could give him number 18. Okay. That would be kind of cool to see him wearing Gabriel wearing 18. I wasn't a big Dylan Gabriel fan, but the guy keeps producing. He's experienced, and I think, and he's got a good arm. He could be a bridge guy. He could be a legitimate bridge guy when the time comes. I don't see Stetson as a bridge guy. Anyone out there see Stetson as a bridge guy? You know, I'm asking about Stetson, and I'm getting the Travolta gif. Like, huh? What? I think we're done with Stetson, right? If Stafford goes or Stafford stays, right? If he stays, I would still draft Gabriel, make him third string, bring Jimmy G back. If Stafford walks, if you could keep Jimmy G, let Jimmy G run the show for a year, and then you plug in Gabriel after that. That would be cool. Let's see here. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, sign AJ. Which AJ is that? Tell me which AJ that is. Ron Reese, how come the Rams never use a fullback to block for the running back? It's just the variation of that whole Shanahan scheme, the Mike Shanahan thing. And we've seen the 49ers use it with Jusic a lot and everything. I don't know. What's his name? McVay is talking about adding new wrinkles to make the Rams offense more dynamic. I love what Baltimore did with Ricard. The Chargers did it with one of their defensive linemen. If you got an athletic guy, let him be your beast, right? Let him be the guy that's going to go on blast and such through those holes to lead your running back. I don't know why they don't do it, but I don't know if it's a hack. Again, this is one of those things where it's Sean McVay and not Rob Boras, the tight ends coach who became the OC under Jeff Fisher. This is Sean McVay. So again, I'm saying it again, 14 yards and a PAT, and we're in the Super Bowl because we beat the Texans at home, and we would have beaten the Chiefs if that's the way they played on Sunday. It's good enough to win, right? So we trust McVay. We do. We have to. I trust McVay. Signed. Alaric Jackson to the online. Okay. Yeah, AJ Jackson. We were calling him that. And then I think they call him Alaric now. Completely. I haven't heard AJ Jackson for a while. But yes, we need Alaric Jackson back. A lot of things are going to be. I think Stafford settles, gets the business done quietly. Kelly puts a sock in her mouth, and Jackson gets settled. I think there are so many great possibilities for the Rams in this draft. There's so many great possibilities. Those 2 third rounders are man, that's good stuff right there. That's really good stuff. And then they got a 4th. So yeah, I think logically it says it should get done, right? The Rams do have. I'm not even caught up with a big free agent signing. I'm not. I think the Rams know how to read the room with a wide receiver in the draft, right? And is DeMarcus going to have a big market? Is DeMarcus right? You could bring him back. We got Jordan Whittington, but I think you can find a couple of receivers in this draft if you don't have to go offensive tackle, right? The one spot I am concerned with in terms of free agent or maybe in the draft is the toilet clogger, right? The guy in the middle, because are we going to keep Bobby Brown, right? I don't know if we're going to keep Bobby Brown. Let's see here. Tim Burns, you said the F word. I got flashbacks of dive right, dive left. I said Fisher. I know, man. I'm sorry. Not to D-Blow, Mr. Negretti. There you go. I said Fisher. I know. I'm sorry. I said Fisher. My bad. I'm a bad person there. Forgive me. Let's keep moving on here. Let's see. Historically, the Rams with the number 26 pick in the draft, they took Cleveland Gary in 1989. He had one good season with the Rams. But also in 1979, they had the 26th overall pick, and it was Kent Hill. And Kent Hill had an all-pro career up until the time the Rams traded him to Houston for Jim Everett. And it was sorry to see him go, but you know what? The Rams got out of the Kent Hill business right away because he faded real fast with Houston. Also, with the 26th overall pick in 1976, the Rams drafted linebacker Kevin McClain, and he was a bust. He was an absolute miss for the Rams. All right, Rams have 38.6 in cap money. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. On this day in 2014, the Rams hired defense coordinator Greg Williams. Greg Williams, just not a happy guy, right? Not a happy guy. Turning 74 today, former Ram quarterback Dieter Brock. There we go. All right. And tomorrow, since we're not on the air, a happy birthday to former Ram cornerback and preseason game announcer, Aqib Talib. He turns 39. All right. I think we got most of that in there. I think we're good.
It was a stone groove, my man.
It was a stone groove. It was a stone groove. Do you guys have any other questions you want to throw at me? I'll stick with you for a couple more minutes here. I think Alaric Jackson's the key. I do believe, as Mark Reber said, I do think Stafford is going to come back. I think Stafford is going to come back, and so the key for me is Alaric Jackson. And I saw somebody asked about Tutu Atwell the other day. If I'm Atwell, I don't know if I want to come back, right? My career is starting in mid-20s now. I haven't taken a big beating. I've shown I can catch the ball. I think I want to go someplace and play, right? And so I can't see Atwell wanting to come back. I'd be surprised. It makes the most sense of any of them leaving. He makes sense. Bobby Brown's another one that's really interesting because I think if Bobby Brown stays somehow, then that could determine where you go. I would have no problem if the Rams drafted, Alaric Jackson stays, Stafford stays. I would have no problem with the Rams drafting the Grant guy from Michigan. Is it Williams? Tyreek Williams from Ohio State? Some kind of run stuffer, because that's what they need. They need that. And that's going to take pressure off of Kobe and Fisk and the conductor and Fisk and those guys. And so I really want to see that happen. But and then again, none of you guys have gotten on my case. I'm feeling it for Emmanuel Forbes right now, and I could be wrong. Steve Ramirez, I loved Greg Williams. He had so much passion. Yeah, but he's never happy. And he's just a surly dude. Tim Burns, there are plenty of tutus in the draft. Okay. Michael Negretti, Greg Williams had passion if you put some money down. Oh, boy, there we go. Ron Reese, if I was Tutu, I wouldn't come back. Travis Rogers talks too much crap about him. Travis Rogers does not like Tutu Atwell at all. I know. Atwell could catch 5 passes, have 3 go for touchdowns, collect over 200 yards. No. But did you notice how many times this year you saw Stafford do play action, roll to his right, and then throw that deep out to Atwell? And Atwell was always there. Atwell, mano de pegamento, man. He had hands of glue. He could catch, and he had speed. And every time you hear McVay talk well about Atwell, he talked well about Atwell, but he could just never get him any clicks, right? That was trouble. Travis Rogers talks too much. Hey, man, he talks enough. And he makes a pretty good living doing this, so good for him. Steve Ramirez, who does Travis like? I don't know if Travis dislikes anybody. Travis Rogers just, he's the guy half empty. He's the yin to Doug McCain's yang, right? He's the one that Doug McCain is very positive, fanboyish kind of, absolutely 100% kind of guy. And Travis Rogers is the Eeyore that says, slow your roll. So for Locked On, those guys match up well together. So I do like listening to Marco Farr when Rogers is on ESPN. So there we go. Okay, guys, 1 minute. 1 minute. If you guys have anything, be sure to hit like. Be sure to hit subscribe. I'm always late talking about that. And we're looking into some aspects of using a different platform called Restream that would not only broadcast us live here on YouTube, but broadcast us live across some social media like Facebook at the same time that we're doing this. So everything's live. And then check out our podcast from the RamCave. That's on Spotify. Not making much of a hit there at Spotify. I don't know what I have to do. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but just not making any traction there at Spotify. If you can subscribe to that, I'd appreciate it. And please buy my books. My books are on Amazon. Game Day at the RamCave, Tangent Dreams, and Temple City Company of the Ages. I appreciate it. All right, 15 seconds. Are you guys good? All right. Thank you for letting me hang with you guys. Thanks for coming in. And we're going to go out with John Wayne and the Undefeated. Thank you guys, and we will see you on Friday. Don't forget to send your mock drafts.